Yeah, I would like to use some levels. It's the highest point in the image with the whites. When I'm bringing down the value, increasing the image brightness, and when you're closing down on the curve with black values, you're increasing the contrast or increasing the shadow values. I'm going to meddle with the mid-tone value. I want this to be a little brighter, not too much. Okay, I'm happy with this result, so I'm going to leave it that way. So next, after this, you guys know, like, I would like to have my image look a little bit like uh, sepia or whatever you call that, like platinum palladium look, whatever I call it myself, like so. Want to I'm going to try to increase the values of a few RGB channels here to make it look. Oh no, sorry. Make it look like a platinum palladium image or a little bit of sepia to it. As you might see, I'm fairly new with the interface. Hence, you could. I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave the greens just like that, and increase the blues. Oops, I wasn't expecting any of such that. Oh yeah, here we go. It's monochromatic. My bad, I'm working very bad with this. No, it's not monochromatic. I want a little bit of red. Not too much, but a little bit of red. I want to go to the green channel. I want to bring down, no, increase the greens, or bring down a little bit. 99, I'm sorry. I kind of forgot to change the channels, like that's why you found that weird color changes all of a sudden. It's not like I'm doing it for the first time. I've done this before, but it's just like I'm kind of tense right now to perform it right in front of the camera to make it look like what I want. So we have a little bit of sepia kind of look here. Since I have blown up the brightness a little bit, or the shadows, we have a slightly, a noisy image, but it's fairly decent, for a web use. So since I'm gonna call this, like, I have edited this image, and if I still want to go ahead and add some sharpening, like, say, I'm going to duplicate this layer. There is a method to sharpen this in Photoshop. I'm going to go to filter. This is destructive, so that's why I'm duplicating that layer. I'm going to go to filter. From other, I choose an effect called high pass. So this will bring the contours and all the textures that is there, like. So I'm going to take like 1.5 as a value and say OK, and it will apply this effect to the layers permanently. And now I have to go to the opacity and make this layer blend mode into overlay. So now the sharpness is applied to this image through that layer. Okay, so we have the good contours being revealed here. So the viewport image on the web tool is always little poor. Made of to be little kind on to that, like. So I want to say and export this as a JPEG. Yeah, I want this to export for the original size. I want this to be 100% quality, and we are close to the widescreen format. It's 1.85 already. We can't do anything right now because like we've already cropped the image a little bit. So attach the metadata if you want and save. Allow means like we are downloading that image from the website. So I'm quite eager to see the final results. So this is the final result we got from the image. If I had not blown up a little bit of brightness or other values, it could have looked much more clean, So for now, this looks like a better image already, like for the web views and stuff, to print it on a A4 paper or something. It's fairly good. I've increased a little bit of like brightness, probably a couple of times, I guess. That's why the shadows are giving too much noise here, but I'm okay with this image already. Like it's still good, a usable image, but not too much. Like I don't like the shadows being blown out and giving too much noise on the security's dark clothes. Okay. So this is a decent image and decent output. You can still save this file as other formats that is available: JPEG, SVG, GIF, PDF, Web, TIFF, Targa, and DXF and other formats that you want, or you can still save this as a PSD file. PSD is the extension for a Photoshop file. So we are downloading the Photoshop file. It is saved as a raw photo.psd. It's giving its own number, like it's not taking the actual name of the file itself. Like say my photograph was having a different file, it's not saving it with the name of that photograph, it's renaming it on its own. So you can open this .psd file on your Photoshop. In my case, I don't use Photoshop. I'm going to open it with my Affinity Photo. It's still opening. I hope I should find the layers, or like I'll find one layer where all the image has been edited. I'm not sure what I'm going to find, but I'm trying to open that image on my Affinity Photo. Okay, sometimes Affinity Photo does this to you. Oh yeah, it did open. Close. See, it's just the web representation of that tool. I told you, right? So the web representation or the application that has been directly exported from that image sometimes gives you output, or the render engine of that particular website's export algorithm. It's giving you a poor quality image output, what you see on the viewport itself, but the actual image is not so. You could clearly see it here in the PSD file which we just edited. So I'm sort of okay with this edit. It's not perfect, but it's good. Like you shot with a film or something, like Ilford HP5 or Delta, I'm not sure. So it kind of gives you that effect. So we have all the layers that we used here, and we were able to edit an image which is something similar to what I edited before. So that was a good success. That was the edits of the edit from the photopea.com, which looks similar to the Photoshop. So you have the tools on the left side, you have layer based editing on the right side, and you have all your color channels and everything. If paths, if you have used one using the pen tool that is there, and you have all the menus and filters and the effects that you want to apply. So you need to remember this: the viewport or the editing table view that you see on the web tool is not the final result anyways, because like normally they don't present it very well. This happens with extreme quality purchased softwares like Autodesk Maya or something. When you're going to bring it inside a different platform, say like Mac OS or something, the frame rate per second inside a Mac OS viewport of Maya or something will be much lesser when you compare to a graphic accelerated discrete or dedicated graphics machine or Windows machine, and the performance of that software. So you don't have to trust the editing. Whatever you have done is very good. actually you can trust your editing. So I'm going to go ahead and close this tab here, since we are done with that editing thing, and we are into the version 2 of polar.co, which looks like a Lightroom. This is a raw converter. The one we saw earlier is the Photoshop version of it. So what I'm going to do here is, like, I'm going to go onto the left. Let's look at the interface here. Since I'm familiar with it, my hands go straight away to whatever I want to do. So whatever image, sample image that they have presented to you, its resolution is given here, what megapixels counts and how much zoom we are in with that particular image. It's what is presented here. You have the zoom and zoom out keys, and zoom out to 100%, all the things that you would find in the Lightroom. So you can even rotate the image if you have the wrong orientation of that. Could do all that on that menu item. You have the import and export onto the left, and you have few predefined effects given by this website Polar, and on to the right you have the editing sliders for increasing the temperature, tint, blacks, highlights, contrast, gamma, clarity, saturation, and you have other editing possibilities that you have, much more similar to the Lightroom. I'm not sure if you can use a mask. I've not tried with this, and I don't even remember. I'm not sure, like, if I'm going to show it to you guys, but yeah, it's a proper raw converter which has the similar interface as in a Lightroom. Okay, I'm going to import. Please be kind on your comments if I'm kind of stumbling with few things, because I'm kind of using these web tools myself for first or second time. Like, I may not be as good as the professional would do. Like, so, and with few aspects of the software, say like channel mixture or white balance or anything, if I have mentioned it not so clearly, like, I just want it to be like that. I just want to be level up with the people who I'm talking to. So you can figure this out, and you can check this out on the proper explanation video or a help menu to know what it is in detail. But I'm just giving you the first impression kind of thing for you to know, like, okay, so yeah, people who use different softwares for a long time, still may not, like, know or be thorough with whatever they have learned. So that's the idea. So what kind of image you want to open on this site? I'm still going to go with the raw image. I think this software can handle a raw image. So I'm going to choose something which doesn't require too much of editing. Since being a web tool, I don't want to load or strain my computer way too much, because we are like most are into the editing right now, and I don't want to give too much of task for my computer. So that's the main reason. So bottom part will show the images that you have brought it into the image editing table. Say I've imported one image. In this case, you can import multiple images or a folder entirely into this and start editing them and export them on a batch, say like 10 photograph altogether. So we have brought this raw photograph into the editing table. You can use the predefined effects that is already available for you, and apply them. You could see that values changing onto the right side as I apply the effect, or you can start from where it was already, So I'm going to undo all. Oh, no. I'm going to undo all that which I applied to my image, say by clearing the history. So if I'm going to apply this will stack up in the history column. I just open that tab and cleared everything. I want to start from the clean photograph. So This one has a crop tool, but they are limiting the resolutions to 1920 by 1280 here. Like they don't want, this software doesn't give you the liberty of customizing your edit or all other things that you did with photopea.com. I still find photopea.com to be much convincing software for the web tool, which is translating well into uh, the tools that you have on a professional environment to the web tool. Like it has a, a good fair amount of share of all the tools that you need to edit the image with. Like, so I'm going to go ahead with the approximation for my eye for a widescreen format crop. So I crop my image. If you still want to crop in a predefined aspect ratios, which is they have given it to you here, 1:1, 4:3, 5:4, 16:9, 16:10. 16 by 9 is something you see on television screens and stuff like that. If you want to rotate your image, you can still do that. Okay, I don't want to rotate my image, so I'm gonna keep it at 0 for now. Yeah, and I want my crop for 1.85:1, which is the widescreen format crop. I'm going to go down and do that for my eye, and I'm done with the crop. So you click the crop tool again, voila, the crop is applied to your image. So yeah, it always fits your image to the image editing table. It doesn't let you zoom down on your image, like it always gives a good view of your image. Okay, so next want to convert this to a black and white image. So what I'm going to do is bring the saturation all to minus 100 value. So now my image is black and white already. So I'm going to darken the blacks a little bit and increase the whites in my image and darken my shadows a little bit, work on the highlights a little bit. Now apply the contrast, and gamma value is something which works on your light, so brightness sort of value. So work on the exposure a little bit, increase the contrast, reduce the shadows. So what I'm trying to do is, like, I'm building the contrast in different ways, okay, for the image to look pop up well, like with proper blacks and proper whites in the images, with proper grays, like you don't want certain things to blow up. So then I'm going to increase the clarity or the sharpness of the image, and you don't need vibrance here right now because, like, it's already black and white. So then I'm going to bring the blacks a little bit, increase the midtones a little bit, bring down too much of highlights. Okay, I'm still bringing down the blacks a little bit. Okay, then what else you have? You can still play on the saturation values like you did the black and white conversion in Photopea. If you want to work on bringing more reds, reduce, they are giving much more color options here. You can work on the color values to make your image look better. I'm not going to say what is what and everything, like as such. Most of the time we would go with the approximation here. So the reds will give you good contrast. The green holds the maximum information of light, so it kind of brightens the image. Blue kind of darkens a little bit. But again, it still depends on the light, that morning daylight. That image you might appear yellow, but it has a lot of information of the blue color. So you might want to meddle with these settings to know how and make the image look better, to know how and make your image look better. So by eye you may not be able to say from a raw image already. Okay, so that's it. So I'm happy with whatever that is there right now. And if I see, like, if I can add some hues here to work on the colors a little bit. No, Oh yeah, we have the options for split toning here, and we have a balance slider. That's good. That's good. That's really good. So with the hues, I'll go with the value of highlight hue. Go with the value of 42. Oh no, 42 to apply or make it look like a image that is a print replica. Okay, I could move the slider only to 45 because I have something interrupting my mouse path. So, and saturation to be 4 or 5. In this case 3, because by looking at the image I'm feeling the values are a little hard. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 4 for the shadows. Okay, so already giving the vibe of platinum palladium look. So the balance slider forgive with my tongue, the balance slider that you are looking here in the split tone is giving you the balance value between highlights and shadows. It is not reducing the opacity value for the split toning that you are going to apply to that image, like you saw in Darktable. Like that opacity slider will reduce the complete values of highlights and shadows to the percentage that you want to reflect in your image. But this balance slider is like between your highlights and shadows. You bring down, it goes with the shadows values that you fed with hue and saturation. When you go up, it'll feed in more of the highlights value that you fed in for the hues and saturation. So you better find a balance that you want to have it on your image by the look and feel that you're having it here. So I added some clarity. I'm going to sharpen it much more here to have some detail. If you find some noise in your image, you can denoise them. And lens correction, normally Adobe Lightroom would give you the options of various lenses that is available in the market according to the camera that you've used, in case if it is autofocus lens or like even for few manual focus lenses. So I don't find any problem with this image as such, though it was shot with a 12 wide angle lens. There are some distortions, but right now it's not so prominent on the image to make it look odd. Okay, so then comes the grain. If you want to add some grain and make it look like a film photograph, you could do that. I'm going to add 10% or 10 value in the grain image. If you want, you can add some vignetting. The vignetting effect could be on the white or on the negative shadow side, but I don't want any images on my vignetting on my image, so I'm going to leave that to 0. Okay, so when you double click on the value here, it turns to the 0 value, like what it was there before. Okay, so no chromatic shift is going to be applied for this image. Okay, and here comes the thing like wherein you can apply some gradient filter. The gradient is like as in from that point to this point. There are two values here. One is going to apply to the bottom of the image, reflect in the bottom of the image. Other one is going to be applied to the top part of your image. So it's like a mask over your image. So from now on, whatever corrections that you're going to apply, that is going to apply only to the gradient layer that you are putting it on your image. Okay, so the top one half, the top half of the gradient is going to make your image brighter. The bottom half is going to make your image a little darker. So as simple as that. So that is a mask, and a radial filter I'm not going to use it anyway, so I'm going to leave it that way. So that's it. I think I'm happy with the crop. If you want to readjust your crop, you can still work on this even after making your final decision. So if you want to readjust it, you can still do it, because this is a Lightroom interface and it's possible, and this is a raw editor, raw converter, still a raw converter. It's not like Photoshop, which is permanent. So this is done. I'm done with this. I'm happy with the edits that I have done, and I'm going to export this image. So this doesn't let me or gives me option of to export it to the desired resolution that I want. If I want to do that, probably I might have to sign up with polar.co, so most probably you will be happy with the resolution that they are providing it to you, which is like HD resolution, I believe. It's good for web use, and you can still use it for presentations and other social media stuff, like I think it's good. Probably this is exporting it to a resolution which is like a 70, I mean like a DPI is 272 pixel, PPI or pixel per inch, 72. It's probably, it may not be for good printable use, but it's good for web use, This is a good web tool for you to have an uh, introduction to the Adobe Lightroom's interface, when you still don't want to buy the software. If you go, most of the softwares that is available in the market will give you a trial run on your computer for about a week or two, say like 7 days or 14 days, or few would give it for 30 days. So beyond that, you may not be able to use it completely, for which you need to download the software package, which will be in very huge size, like 1 or 2 or 3 GBs, and then you might want to install them. That will expand into much more space, like 6 or 4 GB, and you want to try that software on your computer, and your computer has to be much more capable for that, and all the complications that is involved in that. That includes for open source software as well. It will take a much less space compared to the other softwares, but still, all that complications can be avoided, and you can get into such web tools and have an introduction of be familiar with the interface and everything, and start editing your image. So guys, I have edited that image. Let's go into the downloads and look how it looks. See, this rendering from that version 2 polar.co website web tool is fairly decent, like you're getting what you see. So I kind of like this result, and you may not be able to get other file formats, or be able to save the catalog or the adjustments that you did to your image. There are raw image. This is non-destructive editing, but you can export them to the desired resolution, not to the desired resolution, but whatever resolution they permit you to take output off. So I'm happy with the output. I'm glad that I was able to do it on a web tool, from a web tool, a raw image which is a 50 MB in size, and I was able to edit it inside a web browser. That is amazing, so good time to be alive. So guys, we are coming to the end of the episode. Hope you guys had an idea of what you can do with this. I showed a very poor or like mediocre job with the Photopea website with Photoshop interface and everything, and I did a okay job with Polar.co, which is of a Lightroom interface. Hope you guys got something out of it, or got some enough pointers wherein you can build or start your work with, for your, either for designing stuff for social medias and other things, or personal use or presentation, office use, or anything, or you want to start your kid to have a good introduction on image editing softwares which you don't own, or you don't want to download and install it on your computer, and make it as a go tool at any point of time, or even for people who are visiting some friend's place and you happen to take photographs of that particular event, and you want some quick editing done. You can take your files to an internet browser, to an internet cafe, and open these websites and do some quick editing, and check out the low resolution files to print it on a small photograph, size for a wedding album and stuff. You could do all those things. So these things would come in handy, and hope you guys got something out of it. I might have stumbled a little bit, being a first time user for certain things, so, and being an impromptu episode, Hope you will be kind on such mistakes which I did, and hope you got something to learn from this thing, or got some idea wherein like you can stick your thought with photography, with the possible things that is available for you, which is free on the internet. So hope it was useful. This is Kicha signing off. Over and out. Peace.